Welcome back, YouTubers. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to start practicing how to add and subtract using algebra tiles. This first video is going to be over adding, and then the second one is going to be over subtracting. So let's go ahead and take care of that first. As you can see, I've got my algebra tiles, and if you look up here in the top right corner, just above my pin there, we've got the key that we made in the last video. So you can see what each of those different things is going to mean. Remember, our squares are ones, the bars are x's, and the big squares are going to be x squareds. And of course, if I flip those over, I've got the negative versions, which we show in red. Now, the first thing we're going to do is just practice adding a few different things. Let's take two different polynomials. Let's do x squared plus 3x plus 1 as our first polynomial. And I want to add to that 4x plus 2. Now for this first example, I'm going to do everything positive. We'll work into some negatives here in a minute. So my first one, let's just go ahead and represent that using algebra tiles. There's x squared, there's 3x's, and there is 1. For my second set, I don't have any x squareds, but I do have 4x's, and I have 2 1s. So there's 1 and 2. Clear the rest of these off of the screen. Now, whenever I add two sets of algebra tiles, all that I do is push them together and see how many I have. So I'm going to take this whole polynomial on the left, the whole polynomial on the right, and just throw them all together and group them. So let's see. Now we have our answer is 1x squared plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 x's plus 7x, and then 1, 2, 3. So plus 3. Oh, let's get that on the screen so you can see it. X squared plus 7x plus 3. It really is that simple. Okay? Now, let's move on to another one. This time, let's throw a negative sign in there. Let's say we have 2x squared minus 4x plus 1 plus negative x squared plus 2x minus 6. We want to come up with an answer for that one. Well, let's start off by representing these all with algebra tiles. First off, for my first polynomial, I've got 2x. And then this negative 4x, I've got to flip these guys over to make it have negative 4 on the red side. So that's negative 4x. And then plus 1. My second polynomial, I've got to have a negative x squared, a positive 2x, and then a negative 6. So let's make those 6 red tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6. Well, once again, to add them, I guess let me put these on the side so we can see those better. To add them, all I do is combine the groups all together. Put my x squareds together, put my x's together, and then put my 1s together. Now, if you'll remember down the bottom left of that key that we made, we saw that a positive and a negative tile together will make a zero pair. They're eventually going to subtract out or cancel out, like some people like to say. So I've got these two. This pair will subtract out, cancel out, so they just go away. We don't worry about them anymore. These two here are going to subtract out and go away. And then these two will go away. And these two will go away, leaving us with x squared minus 2x minus 5. Now, hopefully from seeing this, you can start seeing why we use the phrase combining like terms, because all that I'm literally doing is taking one polynomial and another and pushing them together. So we're just literally combining all of our x squareds together, all of our x's together, and so on and so forth. Now, the algebra shortcut we're hoping we're going to get to eventually on these is let's look at our two polynomials we've added here and see if we could have done that without it. Now, on this one here, on the left-hand polynomial, I can see that I have an x squared. Over here, I don't have any x squareds, so there's nothing to add. So I'm just going to translate my x squared over, and it's going to be written there. Now let's look at the x's. On this one, left-hand one, I've got 3x there, and on this one, I've got 4x. Well, I can combine those like terms together. 3x plus 4x gives me 7x. I could also look at my constants, or my numbers without variables on them, and see that I have a 1 there and a 2 there, and 1 plus 2 gives me this 3. I could do the exact same thing for my second polynomials. Here I've got 2x squareds. Here I have a negative x squared. 2 plus negative 1 gives me positive 1. So it's positive 1x squared. For my x's, here I have a negative 4x squared. Here I have a 2x squared. And negative 4 plus 2 gives me negative 2. On this one, my constants, 1 and negative 6. Remember, the sign has to go with it. 1 plus negative 6 gives me negative 5. So I could do this using just algebra without any sort of actual tiles on it. Now, let's go ahead and see if we can practice one of those without using the tiles this time. Let's do 3x squared minus x plus 7 plus 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. And once again, we're going to combine like terms. Let's look at our x squareds. Here's a 3x squared and a 2x squared. Those two, 3 plus 2, gives me 5x squared. For my x's, a negative x and a positive 5x, negative 1 plus 5 gives me positive 4x. And then for my constants, 7, positive 7, and a negative 3, add those together, positive 7 minus 3 gives me a positive 4. So, combining like terms works the exact same way as our algebra tiles. We're just taking our two polynomials, pushing them together, and then counting up how many we have, and also making sure that any of those zero pairs are going to go away.